Today we're going to talk about this 2018 Chrysler Pacifica. We're going to talk about some things I like about it. We're going to also talk about some things I do not like about it. All right, so let's start just on the exterior here. This is what replaced the Chrysler Town & Country. I'll insert a picture of it here. This is a much better looking van. I like that they actually trimmed around the edges, made it a lot more streamlined, and overall it really is just better looking. You get a lot of Chrysler's design language that they're using, or were using, I guess, on the 200 and 300 as well, with the back right in here. And overall, it is just a better shape than what was had on the previous model. This particular model sits on 17-inch rims, which I'm actually a big fan of. Instead of popping up to like 18s or 20s on them, I feel like you get a better ride out of it. It's a lot smoother, and also when moms are hitting those curves, you're not going to be too worried about messing up these rims. As far as convenience that you get on this, obviously it's power everything, especially with it being the touring model. So as you can see here, if it'll focus, power lift gate, hit that twice, and also power sliding doors. So if we hit this button twice right here, see this door just slides open. So ultimate convenience, especially if you have kids carrying groceries, trying to get kids in and out. Super nice that way. You also have passive entry on every single one of those doors. There's that button right there you can lock and unlock from right there, as well as remote start. And if you're somewhere cold like it is up in here in Idaho, especially during the winter time, remote start is something you just end up falling in love with and want in every single vehicle you own. Moving on to powertrain, not much has changed, to be honest, especially from the previous model. You still get the 3.6 liter Pentastar V6 in here. Average right around 22 miles per gallon. I think it's 28 highway, around 18 in town. So not amazing gas mileage. I do believe that these come in a hybrid or maybe a plug-in hybrid. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And so you can get versions that have a better gas mileage if that's something that you actually want. Up in miles per gallon is from the updated transmission. This does have a 9-speed transmission, whereas the Chrysler Town & Country only had a 6-speed. I think that one averaged right around 20-ish, so not much, but you do get a little bit better gas mileage. All right, let's start with the first thing that kind of I don't like about this model. So in order to get these back seats to fold down, they're not hard or anything like that. So you pull number one right here, it's one-handed, sorry, and then you pull right here and it folds down like that. I feel like there could have been an easier way. I think on the previous model it did it differently, and so that was a little bit confusing to use at first, and so I wasn't really a huge fan of that. Next complaint, and I saw this on the Town & Countries all the time, is this right here. That always comes untucked, ends up folding, and just ends up becoming an issue. So I wish they would have just fixed that, done a little bit higher quality, but it's Chrysler, so what do you expect? Grab, I promise, while we're here in the back. Why is the button here instead of up here like everyone else? I hate having to reach in there. I feel like I'm gonna get squished all the time. It's really annoying because I always got to reach up here for it, because it makes sense because this is where you pull down anyways. Why not have the button be right here? Makes zero sense. Moving on to the middle row here, I do love ease of access for these doors. You got a button here, you can just pull the handle if you want to as well, and then you also have your key, and you've also got buttons up here in the driver's compartment as well that you can open those doors. So as far as ease of access, super nice, really easy to get to. Thing I dislike, I don't like these seats. Let me just explain why. So you go to fold right here, right? But then you want to get somebody back in there. Why doesn't it flip forward? Am I missing something? Maybe it's this one right here. And it doesn't want to work half the time because of the stow and go seating. And so half the time it doesn't work, so you're just having your kids crawling around anyways. Make this make a little bit more sense. Once you get in though, the space is really nice. I mean, it's huge in here. I like having the catwalk right here for the kids to get in the back. And even in the back seat, it's pretty decent size. Like you could fit adults in there if you really need to for a short drive in there. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. I do like that you get these sunshades right here to pull up. I think every car should have these. I know they break a lot and get crinkled because kids, but they are super handy to have, especially on those longer drives. The storage that is down in here. First things first, you have to make sure your seat is pulled forward. They actually made it a little bit easier on this model. There's a button, ooh, it just shocked me, right here. Press that It'll move that forward for you, which is really nice because in the previous model, that always got in the way and you had to move the seat forward. So you're gonna pull on this handle right here, pull up, that comes up. You watch all the dust fly down and you have a ton of storage in there. And obviously you can put the seats down in there as well. Fold down and sit down, just like that. As far as getting the seat back, it is just simple, press that button again and it goes back right into the position it was. So as far as convenience, that is super nice. All right, now we're up in the driver area and this is where we're gonna focus on for a good majority of the video because this is where you're gonna spend most of your time. Start button kind of tucked down in here. We'll start this one up. This particular one we have only has 81,000 miles on it. So pretty low miles for the price of $14,950. I do like the gauges in here. I think those look really cool, really classy. You have all of your controls right here, which are very basic, very easy to use. On the steering wheel right back behind here, you can see this is your volume control on this side, and then the other side is actually for your radio station control. This is something I actually found I like using a lot. Chevrolet has the same thing on like their Tahoes where you can actually change the volume there. And I think that's really convenient rather than having the buttons on the front cluttering up more space. And so I think that's a nice feature, something really small and simple, but I think makes a lot more sense. Moving on to the climate control, radio controls, and all this right here. Very simple, easy to use. You got the dial obviously right here. This is probably my last gripe. I hate this button. If you open the door at all and the car is not on park, turns the parking brake on. If you stop for a second, turns the parking brake on. The parking brake comes on all the time. I am sure there's a feature to turn it off. Haven't figured it out yet, but this drives me nuts. I want to be able to turn this on and off all by myself. Don't turn it on for me. This drives me crazy. All right, so yeah, moving on to climate controls. Very simple, easy to use right here. You can turn your auto stop on and off, which is nice to have a button there. I also love this button. You wouldn't think it's that big of a deal, the screen off button. The ability to turn that screen on and off is really nice, especially at nighttime. I get in some vehicles, the screens are big and they are blinding you while you're driving at nighttime. And so the ability to turn that off really quick is easy. Of course, up in here, you have all your controls as well as your climate controls. This particular model does have heated seats, which is nice. I do wish you would get a physical button for the heated seats instead of having to go into here every single time. Not that big of a deal. I know a lot of manufacturers aren't moving to that because it's more cost effective. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is nice. I think every vehicle should have that, but otherwise, very simple and straightforward. Now, as far as storage goes, this little compartment right here, I thought was actually pretty ingeniously designed. Your phone can totally store in there, and you can have your phone plugged in right there as well, and it won't come out because it's got this nice little lip on it. So very nice there. More storage down in here if you have a second phone. More storage down in here for your change and whatever else you want to put in here. More storage down in there for your big bags. And I thought this was a fun little Easter egg, quote unquote. They're little minivans. Isn't that so cute? I think it's supposed to be the evolution of the minivan, because you can see that's like the first one, and then or maybe, yeah, no, that's the first one, and then it goes on to the Pacifica right there. So that's kind of fun. And then you do have another outlet right there, and then you also have your 12-volt down in there. More cup holders, more storage down here underneath, which is actually a pass-through, which is nice for the kids in the back. And then there's more storage, more cup holders right there, because that is the number one thing that is the most important when you're in a minivan, is how many cup holders do you have? I think overall, if you're in the market for an affordable minivan, the Chrysler Pacifica should be on your radar to at least check out. Make sure you like. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.